Good evening, you're watching Left, Right and Centre. I'm Nidhi Razdan. Tonight, finally, Rahul Gandhi is taking over as Congress President. He filed his nomination today and surprise, surprise, no one is contesting against him. Former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh called him a darling of the party, while Prime Minister Modi likened him to Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. Can Rahul, with his poor electoral record so far, turn things around for the Congress, beginning with Gujarat? We'll be looking at that story closely tonight. Let's take a look at how his nomination panned out today.
Well, it's a great day. Rahul has been the darling of the congressmen and congresswomen, and this is yet another step in his devotion to the Congress party and the country.
And with that, Rahul Gandhi's promotion from RG to CP, as the Congress president is widely known, was sealed. As delegates from across the country sent in their nominations, there remained only one nominee, the 47-year-old who has grappled with dynasty all his life and which continues to shadow his elevation.
The question is that when you have only one member who's being nominated, then how is it an election?
Listen to me.
Yes.
We've had elections with other candidates.
It was as if Rahul had anticipated this criticism when he spoke at Berkeley earlier this year.
Mr. Akhilesh Yadav is a dynast. Mr. Stalin is a dynast. Mr. Dhummal's son is a dynast. So, you know, even Abhishek Bachchan is a dynast. I mean, that's how India runs. So I mean, don't get after me, because that's how the entire country is running.
It was in 2004 that Rahul Gandhi took on a public role. 13 years later, he's covered the inevitable journey to become the unlikely president of the 132-year-old political party, 40-odd years of which it's been led by his own family. As he takes on this role, he follows in the footsteps of his mother, another reluctant politician who looked unsure when she started in 1998. But in the course of her 2 decades as the boss, the longest for anyone to hold that post, she's managed several victories.
Sonia Gandhi didn't just deliver a surprise victory for the Congress in 2004 with the help of key alliances, with the help of unlikely allies like Sharad Pawar. She even bettered that in 2009. Her son Rahul, on the other hand, has been calling the shots since 2013 and is yet to encounter real success.
A year after he became vice president, the Modi wave ensured that the Congress was at its lowest tally of just 44 MPs in Parliament. Since then, they've lost Uttarakhand, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Assam, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh and the entire state of Uttar Pradesh, limiting themselves to only Karnataka, Punjab, Meghalaya, Mizoram and Puducherry. The change of guard at this juncture has been a tough calculation for the Congress party. Forever keen to protect the Gandhis from blame, they know that Rahul is deeply linked to the Gujarat campaign. But they also point out that he's finally found his groove and he's discovering his own style of speaking.
मैंने फोन किया, मैंने कहा मनमोहन सिंह जी, आपने न्यूज़ सुनी? 2 मिनट बाद, मतलब मोदी जी के भाषण के 2 मिनट बाद मनमोहन सिंह जी ने कहा नहीं। क्या हुआ? मैंने कहा मनमोहन सिंह जी, बीजेपी की सरकार ने नोटबंदी कर दी, 1000 रुपए और 500 रुपए का नोट कैंसिल कर दिया। 20 सेकंड बाद 3-4 बार मैंने बोला हेलो हेलो, कहते हैं अंग्रेजी में, राहुल, आई एम रिकवरिंग फ्रॉम द शॉक ऑफ व्हाट यू टोल्ड मी.
It also seems to have pleasantly surprised other opposition parties.
We will acknowledge that the Congress have a very important role to play in Delhi with their new president.
The stage is set for Rahul Gandhi to take over, but as the Congress president himself knows, it's going to be an extremely difficult task for the Congress party, especially if it has to be seen as a formidable opposition to the BJP-led NDA in the Lok Sabha polls of 2019. With camera person N. Ravi, Sunil Prabhu, NDTV.
And so while Dr. Manmohan Singh was calling Rahul Gandhi a darling of the party, Prime Minister Modi was attacking him while campaigning in Gujarat today, comparing Rahul to Aurangzeb. It was based on a soundbite that was attributed to Manishankar Iyer, which later turned out to be fake news.
ये श्रीमान मणिशंकर अय्यरे આજે કહ્યું છે कि जहांगीर की जगह जब शाहजहां आए क्या तब इलेक्शन हुआ था जब शाहजहां की जगह पे औरंगजेब आए? तब क्या कोई इलेक्शन हुआ था? कांग्रेस के वरिष्ठ नेता ये खुद मानते हैं कि कांग्रेस पार्टी ये पार्टी नहीं है, एक कुनबा है। ये औरंगजेब राज उनको मुबारक।
Prime Minister Modi's scathing attack on the Congress as Rahul Gandhi got set to take over as party president. Manishankar Ayyar's comments to a news channel tweeted by the head of the BJP's IT cell gave the Prime Minister the fodder he wanted. However, what was tweeted by the BJP was only part of the soundbite. The rest was edited out. In the full bite, Manishankar Ayyar says that during Mughal rule, there was only dynasty, but that in a democracy, there is an election, and that Shehzad Poonawala, the young Congress leader who had rebelled, was welcome to stand against Rahul Gandhi.
As Dr. Manmohan Singh ji has said the other day, we do only hope that the Prime Minister rises to his authority, rises to his position, and conducts himself in that way and uses dignified language.
Meanwhile, messages of support came in for Rahul from Congress allies, literally from Kashmir to Kanyakumari.
We all have hopes that he will be able to save this nation from where it's going. There is a tremendous polarization, religious polarization that is being done, which the present dispensation in Delhi is doing. They are trying to promote disharmony between communities, Muslims and Hindus, which is a tragedy, which even Obama has noticed.
காங்கிரஸ் தலைவர் பொறுப்புக்கு அவர் தேர்ந்தெடுக்கப்பட்டு மாபெரும் வெற்றி பெற வேண்டும் என்று திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழகத்தின் சார்பிலும் தலைவர் கலைஞர் அவர்களின் சார்பிலும்
Rahul Gandhi spent good number of days last month across the state for his rallies and roadshows, and now on the eve of the election is expected to take over the campaign of the party completely. Now the onus squarely on him in this tough electoral battle. With Bureau Inputs in Ahmedabad, Rohit Ban for NDTV.
Well, joining us tonight on whether Rahul can actually revive the Congress and what challenges lie ahead for him, Lok Sabha MP and senior leader of the Congress, Jyotiraditya Scindia. Also joining us here in the studio, Ejaz Ilmi of the BJP, author and journalist Nilanjan Mukhopadhyay, who's just back from Gujarat a few days ago. Rajiv Desai and Advaita Kala also joining us as commentators shortly. Mr. Scindia, to you first. It's interesting how people are looking at the timing of Rahul's elevation, and now that it's finally happening, thank God that's one headline we don't have to keep revisiting. But the timing is interesting because it's coming on the eve of Gujarat, which is a tough election battle, and the Congress is putting up a spirited fight. But would you say that it's also a risk? Because if things don't go the Congress's way, the onus is squarely on him. Himachal is also a pretty tough battle. Was this the best time for him to take over, you think?
Well, as I've said many a time with you, Nidhi, on television and off television, I think this is a day that all of us were waiting for the past 6 to 8 months. Having said that, I do believe that the timing of this event signals also a very strong quality of Rahul Gandhi, and that is his ability to take on a challenge up front and head on. And therefore, even though many political pundits may have advocated something pretty much on the lines of what you are saying, so it was very clear that he is going to proceed with the process and take the opposition head on, not only in Gujarat, but also take the challenge head on of rebuilding his party in this environment. Lastly, I'd like to mention, whenever that decision is taken, there are always comments that are made in terms of propitious timing or not. Please do keep in mind that you and I have spoken many times before as well, that we have a pipeline of almost 8 to 9 state elections coming up after these two, which will have been completed by the 14th of December. Then we have a Lok Sabha election within 3 months of the last state elections. So we are running against a timeline of a very strong calendar of events to come. And therefore, as far as I am concerned, as an ordinary Congress worker, I am very glad that he has taken the plunge. I am very glad that this event has occurred, and we are all going to work together to strengthen the party. This also displays, as I said, Rahul Gandhi's tenacity of taking on challenges head on.
But let me ask you about the biggest criticism, which of course gets thrown at him and even you, which is about the charge of dynasty. We heard the Prime Minister, taking off from a comment that actually Mani Shankar Iyer didn't make, but he attributed it to him. Comparing Rahul Gandhi to Aurangzeb, that this was basically a party of dynasts. And if you look at the election process, I mean, he is the only guy who has put in his papers. Why doesn't the Congress even encourage people, to stand and fight and have a healthy election process? Why not at least do that?
So, a couple of points, Nidhi. First of all, I think this concept of dynasts is in many ways casting a slur on our democratic process. We are the largest democracy in the world that has a peaceful election with almost close to a billion people casting their franchise. And if we put a question mark on our democratic process, I think there cannot be a bigger slur that we put on ourselves. Each candidate goes through a trial by fire in every single election, whether it be me, Rahul, or anyone else. For that matter, each Lok Sabha election has a minimum of 20 to 25 candidates, and it's through that trial of fire that each one of us either emerges as a victor or a vanquished. So I think that in itself is a travesty towards our democracy if anyone raises that issue of dynasts. Number two, as far as the Congress's electoral process is concerned, we are probably the only party that has followed the conditions stipulated by the Election Commission to the T. Constituted a Central Election Authority. Our PROs were waiting for 2.5 days. Our returning officers have been appointed, waiting for 2.5 days for any single person to file their nomination. The electoral process is held after scrutiny of close to 9,000 delegates, all of whom are chosen through an electoral process. And I think if then you're going to question the process, then again it's a travesty. No one was stopped from filing their nomination. There have been elections in the past of the Congress party, and I think we are probably the only party to go through a proper electoral process every step of the way.
Okay, so let me take what you're saying about casting a slur.
As far as the third part of your question is concerned, with regard to what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said today and in the past couple of days, I think there is a certain level below which a Prime Minister must not stoop. We leave that judgment to him. I am not going to respond to the barbs that he has put across with the words that he's used today or in the past. There are also instances of fallacies being spread. He has said that Sardar Patel contested against Pandit Nehru. Now there's one area which cannot be contested, and that is historical facts. Sardar Patel ji, one of the tallest leaders and Deputy Prime Minister of our country, passed away in 1950. The election to the Congress party was held in 1951, almost 8 to 10 months after his passing.
Couldn't have contested.
So there was no question of and therefore there was not a question of Sardar Patel contesting against Nehru. But if you're going to spread such white lies, those white lies are not going to be accepted by a country. And finally, it's extremely surprising that it's coming from a party that has never held an electoral process, that has always held a selection process.
I was coming to that.
A nomination process. Every single president of the BJP is being selected and nominated.
So
never ever
there is
elected.
A bigger question
Please
here.
tell me
there is a bigger
and your
question
viewers,
here, which
if at
you raised,
any point of time
I think about
the
lack of
BJP has
democracy
appointed
across
a Central Election Authority,
across our political
returning
parties.
officer, nominations being filed and an election being held.
Let me take that to Ejaz. That is it that in our democracy, while we have a vibrant and functioning democracy, our political parties on the whole don't have a very transparent election process in how our leaders are elected. What makes the Congress that much worse, you think, than the way, say, the BJP president is elected, which is by Nagpur?
You know, a lot of the criticism is coming for the fact that everybody knew that after Sonia ji is going to be Rahul Gandhi, who's going to be the next Congress president. An elevation would be de facto to de jure. It was always understood, and people were waiting for Mr. Rahul Gandhi to take a decision. So the entire process, like my friend Jyotirtha is talking about, that 9,000 delegates were elected, that itself has been put on a question mark in a section of the media, but that this has really happened. And a lot of us understand that these processes are done with a message which goes from the top. And out here, there was no question of anybody else contesting. But the fact is now we have a situation where selection of Rahul Gandhi was known always, the timing had to be decided. So this selection has happened, this coronation has happened. So it's perfectly all right being an internal matter of the Congress party. On issues of transparency.
How is the BJP chief selected?
The BJP
selected.
A lot of leaders are selected based on merit, on performance, on putting the BJP's ideology and getting the BJP workers into positions of power by reaching out to the vote in a democratic fashion. If you deliver at the hustings, you definitely have a very good chance.
But then Mohanji will bless you and say that,
why should
ban jaiye. I'm just saying that isn't it true that all political parties actually lack transparency in India?
If people bless you in election after election, then that is a positive, that is a performance based, that is merit based also. So one has to understand that in a democracy, people are the one who represent the democracy.
Okay, that is why you're a good spokesperson, because you skirted what I was trying to ask. But let me ask Advaita as a commentator. Advaita, having watched Rahul Gandhi over the years and particularly in the last few months, do you notice anything different about him? I mean, what is your observation of Rahul Gandhi? And I'm going to get into his electoral record as well in some detail in just a moment. But do you see anything different about him, more positive about him, or do you think it's more of the same?
I think, to address Mr. Scindia's point to start off the bat, to answer your question at the same time, the question I really want to raise is why someone like Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia not throwing his hat into the ring when it comes to Congress president. I mean, he's held a ministerial berth, he's won elections, he's definitely credible in his home state and at the national level. So a question that I want to ask as not only a commentator but certainly a voter from outside of politics, that why do we see this sort of singular march to the very throne of the party by just one person? I don't understand that at all. And especially when you claim to have a democratic tradition of elections in your party. And another factual point is really in 1946, prior to independence, there was an election for the Congress president at that time, and there was a vote, and there were 12 out of 15 votes from the CWC went to Patel, and 3 members in the CWC didn't vote for anyone at all. And yet Pandit Nehru was chosen for the post of Congress president because it was widely assumed that that person would be prime minister once there was independence. So we've seen this in the past. If we had to go back, we can go back even to, I think it was 1939 when this happened, yet again when it came to the Congress president. So there is this tradition, really, historically, wherein we see that these elections don't count for much. So when today you have someone like a Shehzad Poonawala step forward, he may be a youngster and also not really a politician on the national level, but certainly he has a right to question, and New India and Young India is really going to question the kind of process that is involved when it comes to voting for the top job in the oldest party in this country.
Well, I'll take that back to Jyotiraditya Scindia. What Advaita said, is there a disconnect between the way the Congress looks at its leadership and what the people of India think, or what young Indians think, as Advaita says? I mean, why, for instance, couldn't you have stood for Congress president? You actually have a lot more administrative experience than Rahul does, who has never been a minister or held any other, post, except in the party. So you would have been a good Congress president too.
Well, let's not forget, Nidhi, that when we talk about electoral process in the Congress, we are talking about close to about 15 to 20 crore workers across the length and breadth of our country. And it is the reflection of the aspirations, the hopes and the choice of those workers that gets translated into the election of the Congress president. whether that may have been Mr. Sitaram Kesri, whether it has been Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, whether it is Rahul Gandhi, or whoever that it may be. Point number one. Point number two, also I do believe that the Congress party is one of the only parties in the national prism today that holds a very rigorous election process. And if Mr. Shehzad Poonawalla or any individual for that matter desired to put his hat in the ring, it would be very welcomed by the party. So I don't see when a 3-day nomination period is declared why people who wish to do so did not do so.
Let me take that to Nilanjan for a second. That's because it's preordained, right, Nilanjan Mukhopadhyay? It's preordained. I mean, why would anybody be stupid enough to put their hat in the ring when they know that, you know, upar se there is the blessing that, you know, Rahul will take over. It's sort of like it's his inheritance.
No, I would like to begin this entire issue about political dynasties in various parties from different perspectives. The BJP has consistently been arguing that there is a problem of dynastism within the Congress party. It does not look at its own dynasties, for instance. If you look at this present Lok Sabha and look at those members of the Lok Sabha who are from families which are political, you know, which have some kind of dynasty, you will say that I find that as many as 46% of those are from the BJP. So which means that the BJP is also not you know, in any way anything different. There have been cases, different levels of it. Now, coming back to Rahul Gandhi, I think, you know, Congress has a certain culture which has been accepted by the party people, and it has also been accepted by the other political parties also. There are a large number of political parties in India which are run by families. Lalu Yadav, for instance, you know, it runs on the basis of family. Similar to Sharad Pawar. There are various parties, you know, where you have had people, you know, coming from within the family and taking charge of the party. The BJP has a completely different system. The BJP does not have any transparency as far as electing their president is concerned. It has never been the case. Mr. Amit Shah's case, for instance, you know, he was appointed the president after the 2014 elections to take over the reins from Rajnath Singh. It's just a process of selection by
the difference is that Rajnath Singh wasn't his father or his brother. Or
Rajnath Singh became the Home Minister, and Amit Shah had delivered performance-based. He had delivered 73
at least in the BJP, the leadership.
That is why Mr. Narendra Modi got
can be a little unpredictable.
Majority.
You know, when you look at the principle,
the principle is lack of transparency.
The principle is that it's lack of transparency. So it is also not an election per se. You know, the point which is talked about is that Rahul Gandhi's election is not an election. It's not a fair election. Everything is fixed. It's a fixed match. So just the same way, you know, the BJP elections are also fixed matches.
So Rajiv Desai, let's talk about Rahul Gandhi's record, and I'll take that to Jyotiraditya Scindia as well. Where, you know, since he's become vice president, the Congress has lost in Rajasthan, Andhra, Haryana, Maharashtra, Kerala, Assam, J&K, Uttarakhand and Manipur. They won in Punjab, they were in alliance in Bihar and in Puducherry. It's not a very encouraging report card so far. What's changed?
Well, Nidhi, I see it somewhat differently because if you think about it, the rise of the BJP was made possible only on the Hindutva platform. You've seen that, and they served two very shaky stints at the center under Mr. Vajpayee, and they couldn't survive very long. Mr. Modi came along and said that, you know, I can't just attract these committed voters, these bhakts, Hindutva walas. I need to broaden my appeal, and he went into the development story, and he created something called the Gujarat model, and which had everybody, you know, just lapping it up. And in a very, very, very clever way, Rahul Gandhi first went after that Gujarat model. The whole suit boot sarkar was intended to shake this whole thing about development, to create questions about the development model, and now which has come into full cry in the Gujarat election. So I think if you're going by the record, I think Mr. Gandhi has been extremely clever about how to break this hold of Mr. Modi on the imagination of people who are not 100% sold on Hindutva. And I think that in Gujarat he's done it. I've seen this. I've been talking to people, I've been watching a lot of things, and I think that hold of has been broken. The development story is broken, and so now all you're left with is Hindutva. So Mr. Modi, while he made a very poor jibe at Rahul, I mean, I think without any grace whatsoever, don't forget, it was also a very clever dog whistle. Mughal dynasty, reminding people that these guys are, you know, he used to call him Shahzada. So this dog whistle stuff is going on.
What's going to matter is winning
elections. Lowest of low.
Mani Shankar Aya's obsession. How can you, if you're having a Congress elections president,
may I just finish? May I just finish?
Why is Mani Shankar Aya obsessed with demonizing on a Chaiwala remark?
I am simply saying, by giving an analogy Mr. Modi is not. He is not just abusing Rahul Gandhi by saying he is Aurangzeb and all that. He is also indulging in dog whistle speeches because everybody knows what he means. And this is the appeal that's left for him in Gujarat. He's now even putting out
dog whistles are for dogs. I think the dog whistles in this context cannot be compared.
Women are not safe.
Okay,
for 22 years they were safe, but now if they come back again.
I want to take this question though of Rahul's record to Jyotiraditya Scindia. What makes you confident that this record will change? It's not okay. I think we've just lost that line. Do we have it back? All right. You know, let me take that to Nilanjan. What do you think would be different? Certainly, and it's interesting. There's a CSDS poll. Okay, we have Mr. Scindia back. What has changed? I mean, what makes you you have a pretty poor electoral sort of record under Rahul as vice president these last 2-3 years. I think we've lost him again. So Nilanjan, you answer that first.
Yeah. I think we have been talking about that for the last 2 months onwards, you know, right from his visit to the United States in Berkeley speech. Rahul has been talking in a different language. You know, there is a different vibrancy in the way he's gone and taken the BJP head on, you know, which has not been the case. We have also argued, you know, gone on the thing that this was possibly the best moment for Rahul Gandhi to take charge of the Congress presidency, because in the last 3.5 years, this is the first time that the BJP has appeared to be a bit wobbly. We really do not know that whether the narrative in Gujarat is going to go completely out of the BJP hand or not. But the fact is that the BJP definitely is not setting the agenda as we talk in terms of an election narrative.
I want to ask Advaita that. Advaita, do you notice that? Do you? I mean, I come to that point about whether you think that there's been something different in the way Rahul has taken on the BJP in recent months, and also even the BJP's reactions. I mean, you know, ministers instantly react to him, even call press conferences. Do you see any difference?
No, actually, I feel entirely different. I feel he's gone regressive. I mean, if you look at just what's happened in the last 1 week, I mean, we've gone from JP's Janeu Todo to today Congress saying Janeu Jodo. You know, I mean, that's where we're at right now. You know, it's all about, is this a real Hindu? Is this not a real Hindu? I mean, this is more Hindutva than Hindutva. So I think if Rahul Gandhi had actually stood up there and said, hello, I'm the alternative. I have Parsi blood, Christian blood, Hindu blood, and this is who I am. I would look at him and say, that's right. You know, this is who he is. And that's an alternative. But instead, what is he doing? What is the Congress doing? They're playing entirely the same game. They're playing characters in someone else's script. And not only that, it's hugely regressive, and I'm not some sort of Brahmin bashing person at all. But I found this statement offensive. I found it regressive. I found it far from liberal, and frankly, I don't see who it's appealing to.
But I haven't quite understood the BJP script either. Well, one second. I'm just trying to ask Advaita about that, because I mean, it is the Prime Minister who's been talking about everything from surgical strikes to you know, the Somnath temple and, you know, Jawaharlal Nehru and Indira Gandhi, everything's been invoked, and there's not been that much talk of Vikas, that poor guy that we're still looking for the last 2 months. So I'm just asking whether the political discourse overall has actually been rather disappointing in Gujarat.
Maybe.
Are you asking me?
One second, Mr. Scindia. I'm just asking Advaita this, and then I'm coming to Mr. Scindia. Yeah. Advaita.
Well, absolutely. There has been an overall dip in political discourse. I don't think that's anything that anyone would argue about. But I think you also have a Prime Minister returning after, I think it's 3 terms of serving as Chief Minister and having work on the ground that is obviously reflected to the voters of that state. So if you see him not necessarily concentrating on that as much as that can be explained in this sense as well, that this is an electorate that he's deeply familiar with and who is familiar with him and his work.
Well, Mr. Scindia, last quick word to you then on this. On Rahul's report card, which I was trying to ask you earlier as well, you've lost more states than you've won under his vice presidentship. And now you're facing, what appears to be a pretty interesting battle in Gujarat. The CSDS poll that's come out just now on ABP News actually shows you guys neck and neck in Gujarat, which is interesting. Himachal may not be as interesting for the Congress. So, what makes you so sure that something's changed, that Rahul is the guy to lead you?
Well, look at the discourse in Gujarat, Nidhi. I've spent a great deal of time in Gujarat right now, and Gujarat was touted as the Gujarat model for all of India, right? And if you go there on the ground and you look at the state of healthcare, you look at the state of education, you look at the amount of corruption, look at the state of the farmers, look at the state of various sections of society, unemployment, it's an abysmal state of affairs. And therefore, you have a very concentrated agenda which is moving away from the Gujarat Vikas model to issues of temples, to issues of Janeo, to issues of checking out who is living in which hotel, of checking out who Hardik Patel is going to meet, sending the intelligence bureau in to snoop on people. So the whole agenda has changed from a development agenda to really a sectarian, intolerant, polarization agenda of the BJP. And it's very clear that the BJP is on the back foot, which is why the election of Congress president becomes a central focus of the prime ministerial speech in a state election. And as far as we are concerned in the Congress, we are very glad that we are evoking this reaction from the BJP, because this means that we are correct in terms of where we are going, and we are making them feel extremely uneasy of where the Congress is. We are taking the fight to the BJP, and that is the signature of the Rahul Gandhi brand, which is to take the fight to the opposition camp.
Well, let's see how that plays out.
The BJP and the Congress ideology is for us.
Ultimately,
the BJP is not the enemy. It is the opposition.
The true test of that is going
the Congress is the enemy.
Be on the 18th of
we welcome that.
December.
We don't have an issue
Not in any opinion poll or anywhere else. I'm out of time, everybody. I'm out of time on this tonight, but certainly we are just days away from the first round of polling in Gujarat. That's on Saturday, then next Thursday, and not too far away from counting. So all of this, the last and most crucial lap of Gujarat is finally upon us. Let's see how that plays out and what that means for Rahul Gandhi's presidentship of the Congress. Thank you very much to all of you for joining us tonight. When we come back after this break, we'll be playing out a tribute to legendary actor Shashi Kapoor, who died tonight at the age of 79. That's next.